Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Hare Krishna. Reading from Canto 10, Chapter 69, Text number 22. अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् जन्मे तच्छोभनं कुरु सतो विस्मित उत्थाय तूष्णीं मन्यदगात् गृहम्। अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् जन्मे तच्छोभनं कुरु सतो विस्मित उत्थाय तूष्णीमन्यदगात् गृहम्। अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् जन्मे तच्छोभनं कुरु सतो विस्मित उत्थाय तूष्णीमन्यदगात् गृहम्। अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् जन्मे तच्छोभनं कुरु अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् जन्मे अथापि ब्रूहि नो ब्रह्मन् वन्मे तच्छोभनं कुरु तूष्णीमन्यदगात् गृहम्। So since this, okay, translation and purport by the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please repeat after me. Athapi, nonetheless. Bruhi, please tell. Naha, us. Brahman, O Brahmana. Janma, our birth. Etad, this. Shobhanam, auspicious. Kuru, please make. Saha, he, Narada. Tu, but. Vismitaha, astonished. Utthaya, standing up. Tushnim, silently. Anyad, to another. Agat, went. Griham, palace. So translation, I'll read the translation later, but these verses have no purport. So I start translation from text 18 to text 22. So translation to text 18. So the context is Narad Muni, this chapter title is Narad visits Krishna's palaces. In the previous palace, so there are 16,108 palaces. In one of the palace, uh, text number 17, Narada has already spoken with Krishna earlier. And text number 18, Narada continues speaking. He says, now I have seen your feet, which grant liberation to your devotees, which even Lord Brahma and other great personalities of unfathomable intelligence can only meditate upon with their hearts, and which those who have fallen into well of material existence resort to for deliverance. Please favor me so that I may constantly think of you as I travel about. Firecrackers. Goranga. So Narad Muni continues. Please favor me so that I may constantly think of you as I travel about. Please grant me the power to remember you. So, purport. Lord Krishna had asked Narad Muni, what can we do for you? And here Narada answers. Krishna ने पूछा मैं आपके लिए क्या कर सकता हूँ? So Narada says, please favor me so that I may remember you constantly, and please grant me the power to constantly think of you. Narad Muni is a pure devotee of Krishna, and thus his request is sublime. This is a sublime request. Sublime means very good quality, high quality request. So text number 19. Narada then entered the palace of another of Lord Krishna's wives, my dear king. King here is Parikshit. Shukdev Goswami speaking to Parikshit. Narada then entered the palace of another of Lord Krishna's wives, my dear king. He was eager to witness the spiritual potency possessed by the master of all masters of mystic power. And now today's text. Goranga. Hare Krishna. So now today's text, translation. He entered another of Lord Krishna's palace, or entered the palace of another of Lord Krishna's wives, and there he saw Lord playing at dice with his beloved consort and his friend Uddhava. Lord Krishna worshipped Narada by standing up, offering him a seat and so on. And then, as if he did not know, asked him, when did you arrive? What can needy persons like us do for those who are full in themselves? In any case, my dear Brahmana, please make my life auspicious. Janmet shobhanam kuru. Janmetat shobhanam kuru. Please make my life auspicious. Hare Krishna. Firecrackers are still going. Thank you. In any case, my dear Brahmana, please make my life auspicious. Thus addressed, Narada was astonished. He simply stood up silently and went to another palace. Very mysterious passage. Purport. In Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains that when Narada arrived at the second palace, Lord Krishna acted as if he did not know what had happened in the palace of Rukmini. He is coming from Rukmini's palace to another palace. Narada understood that Lord Krishna was simultaneously present in both palaces, performing different activities. So he simply left the palace silently, in great astonishment over the Lord's activities. Thus ends the purport. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अजानुलम्बितभुजो कनकावधातो सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरो कमलायताक्षो विश्वाम्बरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. So we can speak on this verse for glorification of the Lord, for our purification. Very interesting episode. Narada Muni and comes from one palace to another palace and he sees Krishna doing a different activity in another palace. And Krishna behaves as if he doesn't know that he met him in the previous palace. And then Krishna says, what can we do for you? You are full in yourself, but please make my life auspicious. And he has already talked with Krishna in the previous palace. So therefore, this time Narada is so astonished that he simply stood up silently and went to another palace. He didn't speak also. He didn't respond. This is completely out of material realm. So previously, when Rukmini's palace, Krishna asked him, "What can we do for you?" In response, Narada Muni says, Please favor me so that I may constantly think of you as I travel about. And please grant me the power to remember you. And I'm going to speak on this, remembering Krishna, thinking of Krishna. We were discussing yesterday also. So in this world, psychological activities are more difficult than physical activities. Like we can keep, I can keep this kartal in my hand or I can keep it down because this is a physical activity. I can lift something if it is within capacity. But to think of something and to not think of something is usually not in my hands. It's very difficult. For example, someone insulted you. To not think of that person is very difficult. To forget that is very difficult. Those thoughts keep haunting. Similarly, to remember Krishna, it's a psychological activity and not always in our hand. That's why the golden rule of sadhana bhakti is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. Right? The purpose of sadhana bhakti is to fix our mind on Krishna. But we find it so difficult. We chant holy names so that we can remember Krishna. But while chanting, we remember everything than Krishna. We are conscious of everything other than Krishna. So, therefore, it requires some explanation and also some inspiration, both. So, first of all, what are we conscious of? For example, all of us are breathing now, but we are not conscious that we are breathing, isn't it? So, take 3 deep breath consciously. This is called breath consciousness. It's called breath consciousness. Similarly, the goal of sadhana bhakti is to be Krishna conscious, just to make it clear. So, we'll discuss today why we should be Krishna conscious and how we can be Krishna conscious. Basically, this is very fundamental point of Krishna consciousness. Once Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is so simple, so simple, so simple that I fear you may miss it. So I'll first discuss why uh, why we should be Krishna conscious, just to have some understanding, some inspiration. We see in the scriptures that even the demons got so much benefit by being Krishna conscious. In Bhagvatam 7th canto, there is description of Shishupal and Kansa. Shishupal was all the time Krishna conscious, unfavorably. He was so envious of Krishna that while eating, while walking, while sleeping, while doing everything, he was constantly thinking of Krishna. But he was envious of Krishna. It's not favorable and it's not prescribed. But as a result, he attained salvation, he attained liberation. Similarly, Kansa. Kansa would see Krishna everywhere. While walking, while sleeping, while eating, while talking. It's 24-hour Krishna conscious. Like we discussed, what is, now we understand what is consciousness. So he was always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. And Narada Muni in 7th canto actually glorifies these personalities. He says that their wonderful qualities are that they were always thinking of Krishna. But why should we not think of Krishna unfavorably? One thing is for sure that whoever thinks of Krishna attains liberation. That means no birth again. But if we think of Krishna unfavorably, the process is very painful. Kansa was always in fear. Now, fear is not a very pleasurable emotion. Fear causes anxiety. Fear causes trauma. And we are uncomfortable when we are fearful. Similarly, Shishupal, he was thinking of Krishna out of envy. Again, envy is not a favorable emotion. It makes one uncomfortable. It's like fire burning around us when we are envious. We're always feeling some kind of irritation. But the point is, Narada Muni glorifies these two, Shishupal and Kansa, Dvesha Chetyadayo Nirpa, he says there. Because simply by thinking of Krishna, they attained liberation. All the time they were thinking of Krishna. So therefore, when we think of Krishna unfavorably, there are two problems. One is that it's very painful, uncomfortable. Second is the purification is very slow, very, very slow. So therefore, we should think of Krishna favorably. Then, can you also tell some reason why we should be Krishna conscious? We should think of Krishna. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Pleases Krishna because Krishna's instruction. Man manabha mat bhakto. Always think of me. And he promises, Mame veshi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. 18.65. He promises that you will come to me if you think of me always. So the second point. Krishna's promise. It, it, it makes Krishna very happy because Krishna's Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Bhagwan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Because Krishna's formula is Ye Thamam Prapadyante. When we think of Krishna, Krishna thinks of us. And if we think of Krishna favorably, Krishna also thinks of how to bring us back to Him. So there is a story I heard from Dayaram Prabhu that once Markandeya Rishi, whose lifespan is 7 kalpas of Brahmaji, that means 7 days of Brahma, very, very long lifespan. He happens to see Parashar Muni, who was only 2.5-year-old child that time, 2.5 saal ka bacha. And there were assembly of sages around this child, Parashar. So Markandeya Muni comes and offers prostrated obeisances to Parashar. And everyone was surprised. When you come to child, you bless the child, isn't it? Child is supposed to receive blessing. But Markandeya Muni offers him prostrated obeisances as if to receive blessings from the child. So the sages around were bewildered and they inquired, why you offered obeisances to a child? Markandeya Muni says that I have had a very long lifetime, few kalpas, but in my big lifespan, I have not thought of Krishna even for 2.5 years. But this child, since he was born, has been thinking of Krishna. So he's more spiritually advanced than me because he has been thinking of Krishna. Of course, please don't leave in between because how to think of Krishna is also very important. When I say thinking of Krishna, it doesn't mean I am talking about Krishna dancing with the gopis in Rasa Leela. I'll clarify that later. So point is, thinking of Krishna is so important. And how to do it, that we'll discuss second part. So therefore, we should think of Krishna. By thinking of Krishna, we become spiritually advanced because it pleases Krishna. This is the second point. First point was that become purified. Second one is Krishna wants it, it pleases Krishna. The third point is that we can overcome all the obstacles by thinking of Krishna. 18.58 Bhagavad Gita. Machchitta sarvadurgani mat prasada tarishyati atha chetam ahankaram na shoshyasi vinakshasi. So Krishna very clearly says that Machchitta, if you are conscious of me, then sarvadurgani, you will overcome all obstacles. How? Mat prasadat, by my mercy. By my mercy, you will overcome all the obstacles. And he further says, Atta chetum ahankaram. But if you out of ego do not listen to me, na shroshyasi, then vinakshasi, then you will perish. So basically, Krishna is saying that we cannot overcome all the obstacles on our own. We cannot overcome our ego, we cannot overcome our lust, our envy, our pride. So many obstacles in self realization. It's impossible for us. But if you are Krishna conscious, then Krishna promises, by my mercy you will overcome all of them. Krishna takes the charge. So therefore we should think of Krishna. Krishna is taking the personal charge. By my mercy you will overcome all the obstacles. And actually in previous verse 18.57 he says, Machitta satatam bhava. Always think of me. Okay. And in fact, whatever activities we do in Krishna consciousness, as I said earlier, the process of Vedi sadhana bhakti, the purpose is to think of Krishna, to remember Krishna, to fix our mind on Krishna. That is the goal. Because for a Bhava Bhakta, his mind is always fixed on Krishna. And the goal of sadhana bhakti is to attain Bhava Bhakti. That's our goal. So Mahatma Prabhu tells a story that there was once a couple, husband and wife, who were not in good terms. They were fighting tooth and nail with each other. And but their parents, the man's parents and the woman's parents, they did not want them to be separated. They wanted them to stay together. They did not want the divorce, basically. So then they were coaching their children, the man and the woman, both were being coached by their parents. So the man's parents told him, so every day you come from office, you should bring a bouquet, flower bouquet, and offer it to your wife. And the ladies' side also, the parents told, every day you should cook nice palatable dishes for your husband. Because when he comes from office, he should be pleased with your preparations. And they tried this for 1 month. Actually, they found that after 1 month, the relationship became all the more bitter. And we may want to know why. Because every day this man would come from office, bring a flower bouquet, just as his parents had told, but he would throw it on the table and he would say, here is it for you. ले ले रखा है तेरे लिए लाया हूं. And similarly, wife would bring nice preparations and keep it on the table. Here is it for you. तेरे लिए रख ले, खा ले. So relationship did not improve because they missed the spirit. They missed the spirit. They performed the activity, what they were asked to do, but the spirit was missing. You know. So similarly, we perform so many activities in Krishna consciousness, but the spirit is to remember Krishna. To remember Krishna in a way that we approach every activity in Krishna consciousness as a servant of Krishna. I'll explain that later also. Now, what if we don't remember Krishna? Krishna has already said, Na shroshasi vinangshasi. Actually, Arjuna also demonstrated that when he forgot Krishna. And this is the episode again from Srimad Bhagvatam. This is in 10th canto, chapter 89. We'll read it later. And this chapter is entitled as, anyone knows? Krishna and Arjuna retrieve a Brahmana's sons. Right? So I'll read few translations where Arjuna apparently forgot Krishna, and what was the result? And what is the meaning of forgetting Krishna? We also understand. So Shukdev Goswami says, this 10:89:21. Shukdev Goswami said, once in Dwaraka, a Brahmana's wife gave birth to a son, but the newborn infant died as soon as it touched the ground. Oh Bharata. You know the story. I'll just focus on certain parts, certain purports. So the Brahmana took the corpse means the dead body, and placed it at the door of King Ugrasena's court. Then, agitated and lamenting miserably, he spoke the following. So he says, he's accusing Ugrasena. This duplicitous, greedy enemy of Brahmanas, this unqualified ruler addicted to sense pleasure, has caused my son's death by some discrepancies in the execution of his duties. मतलब मेरा बच्चा क्यों मर गया? Because the king had some discrepancies in the execution of his duties. This king was not dharmic, therefore my son died. He's accusing Ugrasena. And who all are sitting around? There's Vasudev, Krishna, Balaram, Uddhava. Kritvarma, all the great Yadu heroes are sitting around and nobody says anything. When Krishna tests, he really tests very deeply. So then he further says, citizens serving such a wicked king who takes pleasure in violence and cannot control his senses are doomed to suffer poverty and constant misery. So we can know that his Brahmana became very emotional. He lost his son. It's understood. Emotionally speaking, so many things. It's not a philosophical truth. Everything that is given in Bhagavatam is not a philosophical truth, but is speaking emotionally. But then he says, the wise Brahmana suffered the same tragedy with his second and third child. Each time he left the body of his dead son at the king's door and sang the same song of lamentation. So each time, no one responds. They just hear the blasphemy. When Krishna, Kritvarma, Uddhava, Balram, Sankarsha, what is it, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, all of them are sitting, but no one responds. Then, what happens? When the ninth child died, Arjuna, who was near Lord Keshava, happened to overhear the Brahmana's lamentation. So Arjun उचक गया. देख रहा है इतने सारे लोग बैठे हैं चुपचाप वो कुछ नहीं बोल रहे हैं. When Krishna doesn't say anything, when Balram doesn't say anything, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, uh, Vasudev, and Ugrasen, they don't reply, but he felt he can do something. So then he said, what is the matter, my dear Brahmana? Isn't there some lowly member of the royal order here who can, isn't there some lowly member of the royal order here who can at least stand before your house with a bow and in his hand? These Kshatriyas are behaving as if they were Brahmanas, idly engaged in fire sacrifices. Idly matlab alasi. Not ideally, idly. The ruler of a kingdom in which Brahmanas lament over the lost wealth, wives and children, are merely impostors. So earlier Brahmana was accusing Ugrasena. Arjuna also joins. Yeah, these rulers are imposters, playing the role of a king just to earn their livelihood. Joining the song of lamentation. My dear Lord, he says, Arjuna is addressing the Brahmana, my Lord, I will protect the progeny of you and your wife who are in such distress. And if I fail to keep this promise, I will enter the fire to atone for my sin. So, and you know later what happens. So, this is an example where uh, Arjuna is behaving in un-Krishna conscious way. He is forgetting that when Krishna doesn't interfere, when Krishna's associates are not responding, why should he jump up? Forgets Krishna. It's not Krishna conscious, although he's doing a dharmic activity. To protect Brahmana is a dharma of Kshatriyas. Although he's doing an activity, but forgets the spirit. Doesn't take Krishna into account. So therefore, Arjuna demonstrates here what happens when we forget Krishna, even while doing our activities. Now, we have some short time. Now we discuss what it means to be Krishna conscious and how we can be Krishna conscious in our activities. So again, as I said earlier, when you talk about being Krishna conscious, it doesn't mean we think of Krishna dancing with the gopis in Rasa Leela. No, I didn't mean that, and nor does Krishna mean that. It's basically we need to learn to see every activity and everything around us in relation with Krishna. It's basically a question of how we define our success. So Krishna says in 18.57, Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matpara buddhiyogam upashritya machchitta satatam bhava. So there it says very clearly, ki Chetasa sarva karmani, be conscious of me while doing all your activities. Because Prabhupada gives a warning in the purport, and one should not whimsically do anything. Not that everything we do and be conscious of Krishna. There is a boundary that, okay, we act in under the order of scriptures and spiritual master, and then in all activities be conscious of Krishna. Chetasa sarvakarmani mai sanyasya matpara. So when we do some activity, externally there will be desired result or not the desired result. I am not calling it success or failure. I am calling it desired result or not the desired result. So when the desired result come, we can be Krishna conscious, we can thank Krishna. Krishna, this result has come because of your mercy, because of your grace. That is being Krishna conscious. And if desired results don't come, we can still pray to Krishna. Okay, Krishna, this is what you wanted. I am happy with it. And fine. So therefore, when Krishna says in 2.32, Sukhe Dukhe Same Kritva Labha Labha Jaya Jaya, it doesn't mean to say that everything is equal. Sukhe Dukhe Same, Labh, Alabh. Okay, they are not equal. But to remain equipoised in that means you always remember Krishna. And we redefine our success. Our success is not the desired result. Our success in doing an activity, how far we could remember Krishna while doing that activity. And when we redefine our success, we can be always successful. Because in every situation, we can remember Krishna. In happiness, in suffering, in profit, in loss, labha, labho, jaya, jayo, in victory and defeat, we can always be Krishna conscious. And when we fail to be Krishna conscious, we can still be Krishna conscious. When we forget Krishna, just as Arjuna is forgetting here, we can still be Krishna conscious. We can pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, my mind is so ill trained. I am carrying such burden of conditionings that I can't remember you. I am just acting on my false ego. Please give me strength. Please give me strength. That's what Narada prays here. Please give me power to remember you always. We need power to remember Krishna. We can't on our own. But still, even in this powerless state, we can remember Krishna. We can remember Krishna as soon as we make this goal of our life. So Prabhupada writes in 18.57 purport, very classic purport. It was very striking for me. I'll read some portion from Prabhupada's purport in 18.57. Prabhupada helps us how we can be Krishna conscious all the time. Prabhupada says there also that that's our goal. So this is 18.57, which I just recited. Chetsa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matpara. Prabhupada says here, in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So Prabhupada says, when one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant acting on the behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. So we may not remain unaffected. We may become affected. We may fail thousands of times in remembering Krishna. Because we have redefined our success. Our success is to remember Krishna. And carry out our activities, our services in remembrance of Krishna. And we may fail so many times, thousands of times. But each time we fail, we can turn to Krishna. And my dear Lord, my mind is so ill trained. It is thinking of so many things except your pleasure, except your happiness. So we can again turn to Krishna. We may not remain unaffected, we may become affected. But then, Prabhupada says, he simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Okay, then Prabhupada says, the Sanskrit word matpara is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. So this should be our goal of life also, to act in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. We are chanting holy names, we are dancing in kirtan, we are cooking, we are raising funds, we are constructing temples, we are preaching, we are doing so many activities. But the purpose is, and we must be conscious of this purpose. But the purpose is that we want to please Krishna, we want to satisfy Krishna. We are acting as a servant of Krishna no matter what we are doing. Otherwise, we are just acting on our own also. So Prabhupada says, and while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. This is Prabhupada's words. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. So this makes Krishna consciousness perfect. And therefore, in the next verse, Krishna says, one who acts in this way and thinks in this way, Krishna will take all the responsibility. Krishna will remove all the obstacles from his path. Vachitta sarvadurgani mat prasada tarishyati. Then Krishna will take the entire responsibility for that person. Okay, so all rules and regulations in scriptures are meant for that purpose. Uh, that so that we can remember Krishna as a servant of Krishna. Like in Nectar of Instruction, we read about Vacho Begam Mansa Krodha Begam, first verse. Why do we want to control our tongue? Why do we want to control our genital, belly, mind, and anger, and all these things? Only for one purpose. We don't want to prove ourselves that we are Goswamis in this world. We don't want to become Goswami to be famous. We want to become Goswami so that we can give pleasure to Krishna. That's the purpose. And while controlling the senses, we should remember this, that we are doing it for pleasure of Krishna, so that we can serve Krishna, we can give him happiness. Then the second item is the six favorable, right? Favorable. Utsahat Nishad. Atyahar Prayas. Yeah. So why do we want to avoid Atyahar Prayas, Prajalpa, Niyam, Agraha, all those things? Janasangam, Jansangasya, Lolyam Cha. We want to avoid it so that we can give pleasure to Krishna. The purpose should not be forgotten. Because as soon as we forget the purpose, we are not Krishna conscious. Although we perform our duty, although we acted, but I don't know if we have made spiritual advancement in that. The purpose should not be forgotten. We are doing it to give pleasure to Krishna. Then why do we want to cultivate six favorable qualities? Utsahat, Nishayat, Dhairya, Tat Tat, Karma, Pravartana. The purpose is that we want to give pleasure to Krishna. We want to satisfy Krishna. We want to satisfy Guru. Of course, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasad. Guru means, when I say Krishna, it means Guru and Krishna both, all the time. So, we are doing all these services to give pleasure to Krishna. We should never forget this purpose of anything that we are doing. This is the meaning. And Prabhupada says that I was reading in Japa book. So there also Burijanbu writes that when we sit to chant Hare Krishna, we should never forget, we should be always conscious of our purpose. That I am sitting here chanting, I am approaching the holy name as a servant of the holy name to give pleasure to Krishna. So this consciousness, and when one may think, what are you talking? We just execute our duty, deliver the job, and we think we are successful. That's why I told in the beginning, we have to redefine our success. Just delivering the job, okay, it's also one level of success. We have cleaned the temple hall, mopped the temple hall. It's one level of success, definitely. But if we want quality in our devotion, then we must not miss this point. We must not just got caught up by rituals and mechanical activities. We must also take this into account. So therefore, in happiness, in distress, we can always remember Krishna. We can remember Krishna provided this is our goal, provided this we want it. If you don't want it, the whole world is designed to forget Krishna. But if you are focused on it, we can remember Krishna. It's possible. And we'll forget thousands of times because of our conditionings, because of our inertia, because of our ill trained mind. But again, every time we forget, we can again turn to Krishna with a prayer, with a prayer of powerlessness. See, Narad Muni defines here power, spiritual power is power to remember Krishna. But if we recognize that we are powerless, yeah, that's another opportunity to remember Krishna. Krishna, I am powerless to remember you. Please help me. Please give me strength. Please give me strength. So we have to make this a goal in our life, just as Prabhupada says. This should be goal of our life. We should not be just caught up by peripheral physical activities, but it should be always kept in mind that I have to remember Krishna in my activities. And if I could not remember, no problem. I can still remember. I can still turn to Krishna that I could not remember you. And seeking strength from him. So by this, Krishna will help us overcome all our obstacles. Krishna will take the charge if we become Krishna conscious. This is what he has promised. And this is the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He is about to end his talk. He's coming to conclusion. He's not talking about now Shuche Desha Pratisthaya, press your nose, look at your tip of your nose and all that. That's over. 6th chapter mein ho gaya wo. He's about to conclude his talk. And this is sum and substance. To be Krishna conscious all the time. Man manabha mad bhakto. Then we can succeed. Now, technically it may be difficult. We read in Nectar of Instruction, 8th verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I mean, I'm talking about Nectar of Distraction BBD. I'm not talking about Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's commentary on it. Prabhupada is quoting it in his BBD commentary. So there, Prabhupada quotes Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that in the beginning, a sadhaka has to hear about Krishna a lot. So of course, the talk that I'm giving is may not be relevant for new devotees. It's relevant when we have heard about Krishna a lot. And I think most of the devotees sitting here have heard about Krishna a lot. Or maybe we need to hear a lot, but Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur said that in the beginning, a devotee has to hear about Krishna a lot. This is called Shravan Dasha. And after Shravan Dasha comes Varan Dasha, the state of acceptance. State of acceptance means then Krishna accepts us. Krishna accepts us his own because we are taking interest in his katha. We are hearing him. And it goes on for a long time. Shravan Dasha goes on for a long time. Then comes Varan Dasha when Krishna accepts. And then comes Smaranavastha when one can naturally remember Krishna. Smaranavastha. And Smaranavastha also, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gives 5 states. So, interrupted remembrance, absorption, meditation, samadhi, trance, and something like 5 states he gives in the Smaranavastha. So we may become discouraged hearing that, oh, Smaranavastha is very, very far from me. What is he talking about? Esoteric things, remembering Krishna. No, I'm not talking about esoteric things. We can also remember Krishna. Krishna helps us remember him. In the 7th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhumirapanalo vayu khammano buddhirevcha. All matter is my energy. So when we see matter, we have our own thoughts based on our conditionings. You know, if I look at this glass of water, if I'm thirsty, I'll not think this is Krishna's energy. I'll just drink it. But then, if I want to make spiritual advancement, I should impose this thinking on me. I should consciously make this effort. Oh, water is Krishna's energy. I am drinking Krishna. That is remembrance of Krishna. I'm not talking of remembering Krishna in Rasa Leela. And then Krishna also says, Paryamitastuanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat. That even living entities are my energy. All living entities are my energy. That means all jivas also belong to Krishna. So therefore, if I treat jivas nicely, it will give Krishna pleasure. So I am servant of all jivas because they are Krishna's property. And again, I may sound very lofty, and I am proposing you to become servant of everyone. It's a very lofty proposal. We may fail. We may mistreat someone sometime, not sometime, many times others. But still, we can turn to Krishna in that failure. Krishna, these jivas are your property, your energy, and I am supposed to serve them. But my mind is so badly ill-trained. Please help me. Please give me strength. We can again turn to Krishna. And in turning to Krishna, we can again be Krishna conscious. So in all circumstances, we can be Krishna conscious. And then by Krishna's mercy, we can overcome all obstacles. In the end, I will conclude with the prayer of King Kulshekhar, who also has almost similar prayer as Narada Muni prays to Krishna in Dwaraka. He says, Mukunda Murna Pranipatya Yache. Please repeat after. Mukunda Murna Pranipatya Yache. Bhavantamekantamyantamartham. Avismriti Tava Charanarvinde. Bhave Bhave Asmin Bhavat Prasadat. So King Kulshekhar is offering this prayer. He says, Mukunda, Mukunda means Krishna. Murdhana Pranipatya, Murdhana means head. I bow down my head before you. Pranipatya, and I offer my prostrated obeisances with my bowed head. Yache, I beg you. So this is what we should beg Krishna. So okay, Mahaprabhu has also said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. So na to theek hai, but what we should beg Krishna is this. Mukunda Murdhana Pranipatya Yache. And of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatat Bhakti Rahetu Kit. But what is that bhakti? That bhakti is Krishna consciousness, which King Kulshekhar is teaching us. So he's saying, Mukunda Murna Panipatyache, Bhavantam Ekantam Yantamartham. I only desire this benediction from you, only one, Ekantam. And what is that? Abhismriti tava charanara vinde bhave bhave asmin bhavat prasada. May I never forget your lotus feet, birth after birth after birth after birth. So this should also be our goal, and this is how we should also redefine our success at a deeper level. Shri Kantra Srimad Bhagvatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comments or questions? Yeah, actually, every pastime is at different levels. Like Arjuna becomes bewildered, and therefore Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So yeah, what you were saying could also be correct, But the point I wanted to highlight was when Krishna is sitting, Krishna's associates are sitting, and none of them address Brahmana's complaints. And why, why Arjuna had to jump up? So I was seeing the point of forgetting Krishna in that circumstance. He should turn to Krishna. Krishna, why is this Brahman? When Krishna is sitting, why does he have to do that? Right? And Krishna's other associates are there: Pradyumna, Aniruddha, uh, Charun, Deshana, Samba, Vasudev, Ugrasen, all are sitting. Actually, I was thinking about now from different perspective. I was thinking about this pastime. How much Krishna tests his devotees? Like all of them are also listening blasphemy of Ugrasena, but they are silent because Krishna is silent. It's an etiquette when a senior person is sitting, you don't respond to uh, questions. So, there are many senior to Arjuna there, both spiritually and also uh, in terms of age. Vasudeva was there himself. They could have also addressed, but they sat silently. That means it was a matter not to be addressed. That's my understanding. Maybe James or who can add. So if it's like if Japadaga Maharaj sits here, Radhanath Maharaj Swami sits here, and somebody asks a question, and if they are silent, who am I? One who dares to answer is a fool, actually, isn't it? That's the situation. So I felt he was, of course, I didn't read any commentary, but this is my understanding. I felt that Arjuna is being, or rather, Arjuna is demonstrating of forgetfulness of Krishna there, right? Or at least forgetfulness of etiquette. Because there can be many perspectives. Another perspective is Mahavishnu wanted to see Krishna and like that. Okay, okay. दोनों बातें ठीक है. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.